PvP is one of the most talked about and anticipated things that is coming in the Illuvium universe. It does look like it is less than a month away. I reckon November, early November is when we're going to get it. There's been so many leaks everywhere. I've seen the gameplay and it looks absolutely amazing. There's a couple tweaks here and there will definitely be ongoing upgrades as we move forward. More people playing means there'll be more bugs found, more fixes, and this is why we have this beta. We get to fix everything. But what we're going to go through today is everything that I know about PvP, the structure, mastery points, team builder, decks, strategies, how it's all going to work. I'm going to break down everything that I know for you guys in a very concise, quick manner. Well, hopefully it's nice and quick and I get to the point for you guys because there is so much to pack in here. So let's get into it. We'll start off with this photo that is right behind me. It is just a general overview of what the UI is probably going to look like at the start. It may change. It has already changed. There's one that looks different that was out like a week before this one. But the main points you want to have a look at here. Down below is all your illuvials. Your mastery points are here in the middle. And the cost of your illuvial is up on the top left-hand corner of all of those, as we know from survival. But what is different is this top part. Up on the left and the top right, that is yours and your opponent's health bar. And then in the middle, that is the actual structure of where you are within the battle. So let's talk about the structure. The first thing when you go in and you start a battle with someone is you're going to see your opponent's deck. It's going to show you their whole deck straight off the bat, which is amazing because you get to see, and you can usually pick out from that. You go, okay, they're a Steam player, or they're a Granite player, or they're this player, this sort of player. So you can have a quick look. You know exactly what strategy they're going to play, and you're going to know pretty much off the bat, oh, okay, this may be a little bit easier because my strategy takes them down easily, or they hard counter my strategy. I may have to look at playing my illuvials just a little bit differently. So once you've looked at your opponent's deck, you can look at them again whenever you want. As you can see up in this top right hand corner where it has deck, you can click on that and that will take you to your opponent's deck and you can look at it again. So it does not mean you need to take it into absolute memory, which I absolutely love. Because think about how many PvP battles you're going to be playing. These should take like 10 to 15 minutes per battle. You can do 4 an hour. Maybe even more if you crush your opponent and you get out of there really fast. I don't need to be wanting to remember decks consistently. It's just not worth it. And we have a look up the top here in the middle. This is the rounds that we are up to. After you've seen your opponent's deck, that will be over here at the first on the left. Then you go into a bidding session. This is where you bid for a new legendary augment. During this bidding section, there is 4 cards that come up on your screen, and you have 4 votes that you can put on the cards with a max of 3 on any one card. So this is where you need to think of that strategy. Remember your opponent's deck. Okay, they play with lots of magma, and then you have a look, and there is a legendary augment there that changes someone into a magma. Okay, we need to stop my opponent getting that because they do not need to get another magma on their team. So maybe you sacrifice all 3 of your votes and you take out that so they can't get that card. Or you see a card that you absolutely love, you might throw 3 votes on that. Or you might put 2 here, 2 there, or 1 on each. Up to you. All your strategies are going to be different and it all depends what cards actually get shown to you. So once you go into bidding, then you go into the first round. The number of mastery points you get per round I don't think is fully settled on yet, but it'll be, say, I reckon between 150 to 200 for the first round, and then it builds up continuously after that. I don't believe there is interest in the game yet, like in survival mode. If you don't use all your mastery points, you gain more per next round. I don't know if that's implemented yet. I hope it does get implemented because it really boosts you if you use less and still win. But I guess some people might put nothing out, but then you get a massive chunk of health taken off in the first couple of rounds. So after each round is done, if you win, the amount of mastery points left on your side will be the damage taken off your opponent. Then it comes up with, say I have 1 illuvial left, say this Axodon over here on the right, which says it uses 100 mastery points. It is not 100, but for the sake of this, we'll say you have 100 mastery points left on the board. There, Mozart then takes damage to its health, and that will be to the amount of mastery points left on your side, which would be 100 because you had an Axodon left. If you have a augment attached to Axodon, if it's worth 40, that will also count, so it would be 140. If you have 2, it will be 180. If you have more illuvials, it continually stacks, and then the more health you take off. So usually the first couple of rounds aren't going to take much health off because it should be fairly even. It may only take like 40, 30, 50 off your opponent, but as you get further into the later rounds, you're probably going to be taking hundreds off your opponent because you may just sweep them and have heaps left on the board. So the strategy behind, are you going to go hard and fast first and get on top, or are you going to be slow and steady, build your deck over time, and then absolutely obliterate them down the track? There's going to be major differences in strategies going forward, and I can't wait to get our hands on the team builder so we can start doing some theory crafting around the decks that we're going to use when we go in here, which I'll talk about the team builder very soon, so you better just wait around for that. It's coming very soon. So we'll do 3 rounds, and then after the 3rd round, we go into a bidding session again, which is exactly the same. 4 cards come up, you get 4 bids, and you can put a maximum of 3 bids on any one card. They should be different to the first cards that come out. So again, there's a random amount of cards. It's over 100 cards, I'm pretty sure. There's ones like changing an alluvial to a magma, changing an alluvial to a tsunami, so on and so forth. So there's all of those, plus there's damage ones. There's a lot to ask for. I have asked to get a spreadsheet of all of these legendary augments and of the new augments, just so we can run through those, because all of the augments have changed from survival as well. These augments, they obviously have different photos. As you can see here, they look absolutely fire. Seriously, look at the bloody detail in all of these. They look amazing, and you should be able to. You look at this, it kind of looks like a shield. I believe that one will be more defensive or shield based. So instead of having them as they are in survival, where you get to put them on, they do something, and then you get to choose from one of 6 stats to boost, it is you put them on and you get one of 2 choices. It may be shield your alluvial by 300 or raise its health by 200. You get a choice of 2 different things instead of this is what it does, and then you get to add stats onto it. Augments have changed a fair bit going to PvP, and this is something that we all going to need to learn again, and I can't wait to get our hands in the team builder and we can do a bit of theory crafting and just see what all these new augments do and how they actually work. We'll divert very quickly and move over into the team builder. I don't have a full picture of what the team builder looks like, but this is someone's team that they have put on Twitter, and this is the best that I can give you right now because we weren't allowed to save anything we've seen. But as you can see, you can have up to 30 items, which can be a mixture of alluvials, augments, weapons, and suits. There is a minimum amount of alluvials. I think you need a minimum amount of 5 alluvials. Everything else you can have as many or as little as you want, I believe. Or maybe there may be a higher cap on augments, weapons, and suits, but I can't remember off the top of my head if that is correct. As you can see, this deck is wildly built around wildfire and nature. Obviously, this is for a sustain, as it says up the top. Wildfire sustain because they heal themselves so fast. As you can see, they got 2 suits, 2 weapons, and a couple of augments to go with it. I don't know how many suits and weapons you're going to actually need to bring in, because you're obviously really only going to be playing it with one strategy where you needed to be defensive, or, well, for this one, you need to be defensive or a healing. And then your suits, like, I don't know how many different options there are. We definitely need to go in there and see what these suits actually do before we make a final call on this. But I think I would rather a couple less alluvials and put more augments in my team, because there's no way that you're probably going to be able to fill out this many alluvials onto your board before the end of the game. I think you need to be more strategic and put more augments into your team. If you don't already know, this is how the affinities and classes work. As you can see, we'll start with these classes on the right. On the left-hand side down here is all the classes, and then down the bottom is the classes again. If you take your rogue and go over to rogue, it is a predator. Mix it with Scion, it's phantom. Fighter, it's slayer. Empath, revenant. Bulwark, it's a vanguard. So this is probably the easiest one I've seen to work out what they all are, because it's literally you take your one on your left, you go across until you hit your one on your right, and you come up and meet up, and that is what it is. And it goes the same with your affinities, which is behind my head, but you have the same affinities down the left and affinities across the bottom, and then you match them up and away they hit. This here is probably the most simple infographic that I've seen with the affinities. As you can see, as you go around to the right, that means it is stronger against that one. It is max effective against the one to its right. The one that is 2 to its right, it is still effective on, but not as much. If you go the opposite way, it is weak against it, without going that way. When you get into composites, if you have a look up here, that is when it starts getting hard. These normal composites, which it is double earth, it's pretty easy to work out because it's literally just earth but doubled. When you go into the composite ones, that is like fire and earth and water and earth, like mud and dust and all that. Oh my god, that is when it starts getting a little bit like, what the hell is going on here? These are from Illuvium, which is not really a thing anymore. I'm pretty sure these infographics would be on Illuvial Master, Illuvihub, and Illuvidata. All three of those sites are absolutely amazing. There is probably other ones as well that I'm missing, but there's information everywhere. I just wanted to show you these because I really like these from Illuvial and I've got them saved. But shout out to those guys. After each round, your board will reset back to where all your Illuvials started. You'll see your opponent's Illuvials where they started. But at this point, this is when you add, subtract, and move all your Illuvials onto the board. Your opponent's board will stay the same. They will be doing stuff, but you will not see what's happening. You just see what was their last round. So the things you need to watch out for when you go to move your Illuvials. If you go to move your Illuvial on the board and not take them off the board, just move their spot on your board, you will incur a mastery point penalty. So make sure when you first put it on that board, or well, once you go into that round, make sure your Illuvial is in the right spot so you don't have to keep moving it. That is a legitimate just waste of mastery points. Obviously, at some points in the game, you are going to have to pivot because you are losing and you will need to move your Illuvials. I understand that. But make sure you have your strategy in your head, you put them down, and you put them down with purpose. Obviously, when you go to take them off the board, I believe you'll have the penalty. You will not get all those mastery points back in your hand, like survival mode, where you can just willy-nilly throw them off, get all your mastery points back. I believe there's still a penalty for that. Your ranger, though, on the other hand, it does not incur any penalty when you change its weapon, change its armor, or move it. Your ranger is one of the most important pieces of your whole deck. As I said, I don't know if you need to take more than a couple weapons and a couple pieces of armor in for your ranger, but it is a very important part of your deck because this is someone that you can move willy-nilly, do whatever you want with without incurring any penalties. So the ranger becomes the most important part by far. To win, the most important part of this whole thing is to deplete your opponent's health down to 0, and as we said, in between each round, that is when the damage is done to your opponent or when they damage you. Hopefully you get on the front foot early, you start winning, and then you just absolutely obliterate them. But I think that is all the updates coming into PvP that I can think of off the top of my head. If I've missed anything, let me know in the comments because we want to spread the word to everyone. I believe the TFT players will be coming in very soon. We want to encourage them as much as possible to bring their friends, and let's get into Illuvium, baby. Hit subscribe, hit the like, and I'll see you in a video soon.